you know, a lot of players lately have been doing really well in TVT by having those raids. Up Magic's TVT, Up Magic was using a lot of raids in his turn versus turn play, and he actually beat Flash using raids there. But going in and sacrificing your raids uh, by running them over Goliath is not part of the deal for success. It's not part of what makes a successful Wraith attack. And Flash has plenty of comsat energy now, so he's going to be able to comsat off these two Wraiths pretty easily. Leta's probably going to dance around and try and pick off some more SCVs nonetheless. And he may try to exhaust the comsat energy and get a few kills while he's waiting for it to save up. Um, Waiting for them to save up energy, but I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, those raids. So, anyways, if he builds up a few raids, so that'll be nice, and then it'll make it so that Flash can't really drop on him. I mean, part of the reason of the Goliaths is to make sure dropships don't drop on top of your tanks, and that's pretty much the only reason they're there. Well, and for raids, but usually Terran versus Terran is obviously just a bunch of tanks and Goliaths versus a bunch of tanks and Goliaths, and there's dropships involved. This is a smaller map, so we might not see a lot of dropships. Very soon. Well, actually, you know what? Well, since Leta has that starport already, he's probably going to get some dropships earlier rather than later, is what I'm expecting. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Well, actually, in Flash usually is pretty good on the upgrades, so he's probably going to get a starport before too long too. So we may see dropships, but it's not as necessary on this map since you can reach most places on the map pretty quickly without dropships. Although there are a lot of hills, and so if one of the Terrans gets an entrenched position on top of one of those hills, it'd be hard to break without dropships. So we're probably going to see them in the late game at least, if it gets that far. And wow, some vultures coming in here, nicely done. Leta sneaking some mined up vultures. He's planting mines around. He's probably going to get a couple SCV kills here. Before reinforcements coming in. Comsat does go off, so he's going to actually be distracted taking out those mines before he can attack the vultures. And one tank just chilling on that. Whoa! Oh wow! That mine got killed by the tank behind it. I think just in time. Again, barely killing off that mine in time. That was close. My heart skipped a beat. But again, this is what Leta needs to do, though. He's a little bit behind, and so he needs to catch up by doing some harassment like this, and so that's a good thing for him to do. And there he goes, putting that control tower down, another control tower down to get some dropships out. Both players just macroing up at this point. Probably going to be seeing them take more bases pretty soon. In fact, it looks like both players are setting up to take their third bases. They've got SCVs in place, I believe. Leta at the right side and Flash at the left. So we're probably going to see that before too long. But anyway, what was I saying before? Oh yeah. The point I was making is that usually the Goliaths are there to stop dropships from dropping on top of your tanks, and if you didn't have to worry about that, people would go all tanks basically because the ground forces would be able to do such a better job. Now sometimes it ends up being more tank. One player ends up going for a lot of tanks to try and go for more of a ground heavy army, and then the other player will mix it up and get raids. And that's just the whole thing about StarCraft. But anyway, my entire point though is that oh wow, that mine actually went off. I thought those forces were on A moves, were going to kill it. But the entire point was that the raids are very, very good at holding off dropships from dropping on your forces without losing very much. And he looks like he's probably going to go in for a bit of a vulture drop or something here. But he falls back and he does not go. Maybe he comsatted and saw that the tank and the Goliath in his main and decided to drop him off there and try and get some kills on the SCVs on the natural instead, since there's not as much defense there. Planting down some mines to delay, and again, now he's going after the SCVs, but again, Flash blocking his ramp and doing a good job of blocking his ramp to keep those vultures from getting in and killing many SCVs there. So nicely done. And now Flash has taken position on the ridge on the right side. Now that doesn't mean anything right now. He's not going to take that base, but eventually that could be a big deal if he holds that position for later on in the game. I mean, oftentimes the tank position that you hold, and here we come, Leta trying to push in here, pulling in within siege range of Leta without going in with any SCVs or anything like that, ends up taking some hits. Both players have polished off a couple tanks of each other. Leta got a little bit more raw end of that deal, and yeah, both players are getting those third bases up like I thought they were. at exactly the same moment as well, come to think of it. But anyways, oftentimes in TVT, the tank lines that you set up, the positions that you take and hold early on can actually make a big difference later on. Sometimes you'll see players go with 4 dropships full forces, and like usually in a 4-player map, and drop in some random corner for no particular reason, no apparent reason rather. And then what they're doing is they're taking that territory to hold it for later, and then they have control of more territory later on when they need more bases. And so that's exactly what might happen here with Flash in control of that territory on the right. He's going to be able to take that base later on after he's taken the other 2 bases that are available to him. And so anyway, and actually, Leta has set up some tanks in that corner as well. So a little bit of a standoff there, and a little bit of pressure for both those. But whoa, Leta needs to be careful because he's moving his tanks out underneath the possible fire of Flash's tanks on that ridge, and that might be part of why Flash put those tanks on that ridge. But he is moving in. He moved in with some vultures first, and that was a good idea. Vultures taking the hits, and then his tanks are able to plant in there pretty easily. Really strange firing lines here because Flash kind of has a line. You can look on the minimap. Flash kind of has a line going across the bridge, partly in the kind of Leta's half of the map. And Leta now has a squad of tanks in Flash's half of the map, kind of in between. He's kind of like cornered. There's tanks on all sides, and here's what I was talking about. Sometimes when a player's gone all tanks, you can switch it up and get wraiths and catch them by surprise and do some damage. And see now 3 dropships out for Leta, and that is the advantage that Leta has here. Flash hasn't made a single dropship yet, which I'm a little bit surprised about. You would think he would get some dropships by now and try to do some more damage like that, but he hasn't. Oh, those 2 SCVs ganging up on the one. Finally, Goliath coming in and taking that care of that. But anyway, he is going to spot these 3 dropships coming in. Is he going to be able to respond? He's bringing back 3 tanks and a few Goliaths as well. But I think Leta's going to get a good drop-off on this here. And he's trying to move his SCVs out of the way. Leta is actually... Where is he going? Maybe he's going to go for the... Oh, he's going to go for the natural expansion? Maybe he's going to go for the main base? He's going to try and drop, wow, a lot of tanks in just a single Goliath because Flash doesn't have any dropships at this point. So there's not a lot he can do about it. You can't do a counter drop here, but he is sending in a lot of SCVs at those tanks, and Leta is going to lose all those tanks, but he is killing a lot of SCVs in the process. So pretty decent drop actually. Oh, is he gonna? For a second it looked like that tank. It looked like Flash fell back too quickly, but anyway, pretty decent drop by Leta. I think he did a decent amount of damage there. He lost 5 tanks, but he killed like 1 or 2 tanks. He killed a lot of SCVs. Whoa, nice siege up there by Leta. Flash may not have had vision of those tanks, and so his tanks were not able to hit first. And a huge blow there. Flash losing a lot of tanks in the middle. And so Leta gaining ground and doing damage and doing harassment at the same time. So Leta actually taking control of this game, which is really surprising given the fact that he was behind in the beginning. Usually he tried to float the command center over, and the little critter got in the way. Oh man, the critters are just sucking at this game. So he is going to finally land that command center now that the critter's dead, and be able to move on. So it looks like he's loading up those dropships for another drop there. That was kind of a funny drop that we saw before. He went all the way around the map, and I'm surprised he didn't drop at the expansion when he had the chance to kill off some SCVs. But again, Flash, no dropships for Flash, so he can't counter drop. And so Leta is not having to make any Goliaths. Or raids at this point to do anything. And Flash has a few tanks. He was trying to hold this position. Leta's going to come in here and try and take it instead, though. Takes a lot of hits on his dropships, and dropships are a little weak at this point, actually. Oh, Flash sieging up below the ridge, able to fire up there, but Leta does have the high ground, so he's going to be able to hold that spot as long as he doesn't move within range of those tanks on the low ground. Those tanks on the high ground will be able to hold off a substantial amount of tanks on the low ground. Again, because Flash doesn't have any dropships, and I don't know why he hasn't gotten any. Okay, finally getting dropships out. Okay, he's got 3 now. So I'm sorry if I missed those before. I didn't see them before, and so I thought he didn't have them. But he does have 3 dropships out now, so Flash is going to be able to do counter drops and try and do some drop harassment or things like that. It looks like Leta is trying to push in a little further even and really take control of that ridge so he can put a base there. That will be a real boon to him because now he's lost his foothold he had, well, not even a foothold, a little toehold he had on the base on the right. So again, both players trying to establish territory now that they're going to turn into bases here. Neither player has really taken all of their bases. Oh, Leta has actually. It looks like both of them have ignored their mineral only in the bottom. And Leta actually is going to try and keep Flash from getting this location. If he can, he will control the majority of the map. If he can get